Good morning, everyone. It is 11 o'clock. We are just going to give all of the members some chance to log in, and then Jock Brown, who is the chairman of the board, will facilitate the meeting for us.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Jock.
Morning,
Morning.
Carol. Is Marisha and Anne here?
I am here. Yes, we're still waiting on Anne.
Okay, cool. Right.
So, Jock, I'm just still admitting everyone. You can maybe just give it until 3 or 5 past, and then you are welcome to start.
Okay, perfect. We've got, as you pointed out to me, we've got quite a lot on the agenda today, so we won't wait too long.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe let's give it one more minute. We can start 2 minutes past 11. Let's give it one more minute, and then you're welcome to go for it.
Right. Okay, so I think maybe I'll get started. Morning, everybody. Welcome to this AREP monthly meeting. I'm Jock Brown. I'm chairman of the board of AREP. So I support Carol and his team and helping them out where I can. We've got quite a full agenda for you today. Marisha has kindly put this the details of this meeting together. I think it's a great agenda, and as always, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. So I look forward to hearing from everybody. I'm sure it's the same for everybody else in the industry, but there's a lot going on at the moment. There's a lot of projects out there, a lot of movement. So it's, as always, I'm very proud and pleased with the work that AREP does to keep us all on the straight and narrow and moving in the right direction. First up today, to talk a little bit about the progress AREP is making as an association with membership and so forth, we have Marisha. So I'm going to hand over quickly to Marisha. Thanks.
Thank you, Jock. This part is actually Anne's domain. So
All right,
Anne,
sorry.
through this first part. Thank you.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to our meeting. I'll just give you a quick update on the latest statistics. Currently, we are sitting on 4,032 members, meaning we grew quite a bit in the last month. Of our previous meeting, I think we were on 3,500 or 3,700. I'm not 100% sure, but we did grow with quite a few new members. And then company members, currently we are sitting on 121. Our company membership and founding membership comes with many very nice benefit. So if you're interested in registering your company with the association, you can just pop me an email. I will post my email address in the chat. Founding members, 20 at the moment. And then currently we have 147 individuals who went through the accreditation process so far in 2024. If you want to get accredited, you can also just send me an email and I will provide you with some more information. Then we are running a very nice promotion today, for today only. If you buy one level 1 accreditation test, you will get another one for free. We will provide you with the promotion code at the end of the meeting. So you can also then just contact me and register for the meeting, and I will make sure you get your free test afterwards. Thank you.
And we just have one quick human moment. It is Anne's birthday today, and we just want to wish her a very happy birthday and say thank you that you are spending an hour of your birthday with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Marisha.
Oh, happy birthday, Anne. Apologies. I see also at this point there was some industry research which maybe you're going to share, Marisha.
Yes, that's correct. All right, so hi everyone, I am Marisha Wiggett. I also work for AREP, part of the team, and we have been conducting some very interesting research for the past few months. Many of you might have participated in that even. Jocelyn would have given you a call. If you are a P4 level 2 practitioner, then you would have been on the call list. And hopefully Jocelyn would have spoken to you over the past few months. So what we did is we did a survey on the solar PV repair and fire call outs in South Africa to try and understand what's the reality of post-installation system realities in South Africa. And it's been very interesting. So let me share some of the statistics with you today, but the final report will be coming out probably in a week or two. We're just finalizing all of the details, and then we will publish it and make it available on different platforms for you to access. It's going to be very interesting. So the first statistic that I want to share with you is we asked practitioners how many times they were called out to inspect or repair faulty or incorrectly installed solar PV systems. And 52% of the practitioners that we called indicated that they were called out between 1 and 5 times, which means half of the practitioners that we called have been called out to, more than half have been called out to do inspections of faulty systems. I just actually want to go back one slide. I want to just clarify something. What did I want to tell you now about the practitioners? Never mind. Let's just move on with the statistics. If you have any questions, you're welcome to pop that in the chat, and then I'll have a look as we're talking. All right. So between 1 and 5 times called out, 52% of the participants indicated that they were called out between 1 and 5 times. 19% were called out more than 5 times, between 6 and 10. And then you can see the rest of the statistics there on the screen. 12% were called out between 11 and 20 times. And then 16% of the participants indicated that they were called out more than 20 times to go and check on incorrectly or faulty systems. What type of installations or call-outs were they? 63% of the participants indicated that they were residential checks that they had to do, and 36 had to go and inspect CNI installations, which was a very interesting statistic for us. We anticipated that the residential would be a lot higher than the CNI, but the differentiating statistic is not that much for me, actually. It's quite interesting that CNI is just as prominent as the residential. Next, we took a look at in which provinces these call-outs occurred. So in Gauteng, it was by far the most. 45% of the practitioners indicated that they had call-outs in the Gauteng province. And then let's look at the other outliers. So Western Cape was 18%. Oh, let me just go back, 18%. And then Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal came in fourth at 11%. No call outs in the Northern Cape. So I'm not sure. We're still analyzing. Does that mean that we don't really have many members in the Northern Cape, or are everyone that installs in the Northern Cape just completely on the ball? We don't know yet, but we are looking into that statistic. It's proving very interesting. If you take a look at where most of practitioners live, you'll see that the most of them are in Gauteng, which would make sense if you look at the number of call-outs in the Gauteng province and you look at the guys living in Gauteng, it's more or less the same. And then the second one is the Western Cape, which is more or less the same as the call-out percentage. And then the fourth outlier is probably the KwaZulu-Natal and the Limpopo, which is only 4%. So it's a little different. The call-outs compared to where these guys actually live, the statistics look a little bit different. So we're looking into why that is the case. It would be very interesting to see why there are more repair call-outs in certain provinces compared to where the guys actually live. Another statistic I can share with you is we asked the guys, have they ever been called out to inspect or repair a solar PV system that has suffered fire damage specifically? So there has been a lot of attention given to fire risk of solar PV systems. And we wanted to see what was the actual damage in the market. How many people have encountered these fires that everyone is raging over? 15% of the participants said that they have encountered fire damage, but a whopping 85% said that they have never seen any fire damage when they have been called out, which is very interesting. I think it just proves that fire is not really the biggest risk when it comes, it's not the most prominent risk when it comes to solar PV systems. If you look at the number of call-outs, the percentages of call-outs in these provinces, yeah, fire is not necessarily the biggest one. But the question then is, what is the biggest risk? So we took a look at the root causes of what caused the practitioner to be called out. 88% of the practitioners were called out because of poor installation practices. So we'll give a little bit of context of what poor installation practices means, of how we defined that. But 88% was because of poor installation practices. 6% was because of substandard and uncertified products. And 6% were from hail damage, actually, which we thought was very interesting. If you look at the poor installation practices risk factor, what are the different risk factors encountered by practitioners? You can see that 53% was again the poor installation practices. 9% was the substandard and uncertified products, 1% hail. 15% indicated that inexperienced or unaccredited installers was the main problem. 8% indicated public ignorance. And then 5% unclear standards and regulations, and 1% said maintenance was the biggest problem, the biggest risk factor. So let me just admit this. I'm a little bit all over because I'm trying to admit participants and communicating the survey to you. So please excuse me for that. All right, so these are the risk factors that we saw coming through on the survey. And we thought it was very interesting to note the different risks and to just note that fire does not even really feature on these graphs at all. Yeah, but let's wait for the report. I think it's going to be a very interesting read. We just wanted to share some preliminary statistics with you, and then we will all maybe talk about what we read in the report next month in the next meeting when the report has been published. Thank you, Jock. That's all from me.
Thanks very much, Marisha. So next up on the agenda, we have Mark Boshoff from Nedbank. He's the head of climate resilience and sustainability strategy in their commercial banking unit. Welcome, Mark. We've got you down for a 10-minute presentation.
Thank you very much for that. And Thanks for the invitation to chat to you guys. I don't know if you've got my slides there or if you want me to bring them up.
You are welcome to share them, Mark.
Okay, let's share screen. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not very au fait with Zoom. We tend to use Teams. You don't have them there with you, Marisha, by any chance? I think that might be quicker. Show captions.
Okay, 2 seconds. I'm going to get them. You're welcome to start, and then I'll just get your slides ready for you.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much. So Marisha gave me very specific instructions, if we want to call it that. Suggestions is most probably the more appropriate term, to deal with a number of questions that are coming up from AREP and from AREP members, specifically regarding requests for finance and those kinds of requirements that the bank seems to be turning down or are unaware of and everything. And we decided to put together a quick slide show and just show you what's going on. I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to be very quick, talking about a huge business, 26,000 employees and growing. And we certainly don't always succeed in getting the message across to all 27,000 employees in a similar manner. You often find that there's a bit of a breakdown. So the good news is that Nedbank is open for business. In fact, we've been open for renewable energy funding business for over 10 years now. We were one of the first, if not the first, to actually launch in the market, and that was specifically for commercial and industrial and agricultural. We've added an extra letter to that CNI acronym that was the question asked, what does it stand for? Commercial and industrial. We've added an A to it, which is for agriculture. And that's because of our segment is we look at clients in the commercial banking segment that are businesses in that space. And I'll show you now how it's all broken down so that you can better understand what's going on. So first of all, the good news is we've been open for business for 10 years. We open for business for clients who use suppliers, installers, or vendors that are accredited with recognized bodies. For example, AREP, very much so. We've always been with P4, or sorry, not P4, the PV Green Card, and we've got a couple of partners that we're dealing with as well that I'll show to you in a few minutes. We finance your customers as well as your business needs. And that's one of the questions and one of the confusions that seems to be coming up. Often when a member approaches Nedbank, the Nedbank team aren't sure whether they're wanting finance for the customer that is buying the installation, or is the member looking for finance or banking services for their business. And that's very important that we just have that distinction, and that you can understand why there's sometimes a bit of a you want what and when with big question mark. Not because we are closed for business or anything like that, just there's so many offerings out there that one's got to be very clear as to who is asking for what and when. Okay, it is not, and I just want to say it up front, it is not a prerequisite that you as an installer, vendor, ECP or a PC, EPC, is banks with Nedbank. It's absolutely not a requirement. Don't get me wrong, it'll be very nice. We as the Green Bank, we're trying very hard to get the green economy all involved in in the Green Bank, but it's not a prerequisite. So feel free if you bank with one of those other banks, although I never understand why you would want to bank with those other banks, just kidding. But it's not a prerequisite. Our other service models include, so when I talk about a service model, is how do deals get into how do you get into, or how do we pick up these deals in Nedbank? We've got a couple of channels. The first one that was developed was where our clients come to us and say to us, we want to install or we want to finance solar. We then have a look at is the installer, are they accredited with either those two or any other accrediting agencies that are out there. And then we will do the deal based on the direct approach. We then subsequently went into a partnership with Home Energy, which you guys most probably seen out in the market there. They're very active in our residential space as well as our commercial, industrial, and agricultural space. And we've also got Avo, which is an internal banking platform or business to B2B platform that will you can register with them to become an accredited supplier, and they will farm out or allocate applications to you in all the various areas, residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural. And we've also got MFC. That one, I must admit, as a green banker or as a net banker, I struggle a bit with it. It's our Motor Finance Corporation. I suppose the trademark is so well known that they haven't changed it or very wary to change it. Maybe just miss the M and see it as the Finance Corporation. That's where we do our residential installations for individuals. So that's where you would do an individual that is in the bank, and we can look at it that way. But Nedbank is open for business, and there's always a but it's not like the little guy that goes, oh, this is not a good sign. It's very straightforward. We do not maintain a list of accredited suppliers. We get a lot of requests from various members, from various installers out there in the market that ask, can they please be put on our preferred supplier list? We unfortunately do not maintain one. It's not our business. It's the expertise of AREP and P4 and those kinds of guys. Imagine a banker trying to test you for electrical engineering or putting out WhatsApps. It'll be an absolute disaster. I know for one, I'm an accountant, been in the bank for years. When I change the plug in the house, my family going to stand outside and ask me to please test it before switched on off before they're coming back in again. That's what you would be up against. So we're not even going to get involved in that space. We don't want to tell you your business. And whilst we're very keen to hear what you think about our business, it's run by specialists or on that basis. The other question or concern that comes up is it would appear that a lot of installers are going directly to the bank and saying, I have a client and I want them, I want finance for them. With all the banking laws, the legislation, the various statutes, Basel requirements, yada, 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 it doesn't stop. We get tested on a yearly basis for all these things. It's a nightmare. We cannot give out banking information. It's a silly, well, maybe not silly, but it gets to the point where if you said to me, does XYZ bank with Nedbank, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Not because I don't know, but I'm not allowed to tell you. It's the client's prerogative to tell you. So when you have a deal, your client must approach the bank and ask for the finance, and they will then supply, the client will then give the specifications or the invoice or whatever you've provided them with to do that installation as backup for the implementation. That's unfortunately one of the problems that we have. And then you need to know where to enter the bank. It's, as I said, it's a huge national, well, almost international. We've got some branches in the UK, we've got branches in Africa. So it's an international company, huge footprint, and you've got to know where to go in, because otherwise you're just going to come up across, for example, if you want to do, and I'm using a ridiculous example now, you want to put up a solar farm for one of the big municipalities, and you walk into one of our branches, the teller is going to look at you, or the banker is going to look at you with complete a blank stare on his face or her face, not going to know what you're talking about. If you can pass on to the next slide, please. So If you go onto our internet site, you'll see that banner pops up there, and it's a great way of looking at the bank. Everybody sees Nedbank as one entity. It is one entity, but as with all businesses, it's got various sections. And we divide our service areas into three. It's personal, business, and corporate. What do personal banking do? That's your and my banking. That's when we go in as an individual, we have a current account or a credit card or whatever it is with the bank, and we want to draw some money, or we want to make a payment, or whatever the case is. So it's individuals, partnerships, and trusts. So it's really the distinction there is, if you're not incorporated as a company, you fall under personal banking. And what will they finance? They will finance residential solar for you. In the case of partnerships and trusts, they will also look at it on that basis, because usually it's the building is in the name of an individual or individuals, as opposed to being in the name of a registered company. Business banking, I'm from commercial banking. Business banking consists of small business services, which is 0 to 30 million rand turnover, and from 30 million to 2.5 billion turnover is in the commercial space. It's a juristic. It's a banking term or a legal term for a company or a business that's incorporated. Example would be a PTY Limited, a CC. You don't see many of them anymore. Those are the main ones that we deal with. And what do we look at there? We look at rooftop solar for commercial, industrial, and agricultural clients. And it will be whether it's ground mounted or roof mounted, or however you want to do it, on your shade cover for parking lots, those kinds of things. We'll look at it in that space, as long as the client is a juristic client and fits into our space. Then on corporate banking, that is our corporate and investment banking. Those are listed companies. Those are the companies that are on the stock exchange. And these guys do embedded energy. And it's really those large utility solar farms. They do PPAs, the large PPAs in commercial banking. We also do PPAs, but for smaller businesses. PPA, power purchase agreement. You own the equipment. The person who has the equipment on their roof pays you for the electricity, and that's how you redeem your costs. We would finance the cost on your, or the equipment on your side. So very briefly, that's how we divide it into, and that's why you sometimes get the blank stare, or somebody says to you, I'll have to go and have a look where that client banks. Next slide, please, Marisha. Sorry?
We're just running a bit short of time, Mark, so if you can keep...
Okay, no, I'm almost done. Okay, what do we finance in business banking? We finance all renewable energy sources that you can think of: solar, heat exchange, wind, hydro, biomass, all those kinds of things. We provide a period of up to 10 years to pay off the equipment. It includes the equipment and installation costs. You can the client can repay it whether they want to do it annually or semi-annually or monthly. It's based on a credit assessment, and that takes a bit of time in commercial banking, because we're really doing an audit. It's not like the motor vehicle side that can give you a yes or no in 3 seconds, because it's run through computers. We do not always require a deposit. The tax incentives, the 125% allowance that is available to commercial businesses, is still in place. We do not even look at that. That's for the client, and it's really just a sweetener. Mention it to your commercial and industrial and agricultural clients that they can get 125% back if they look at it. And it's not just on solar panels, it's on the entire installation cost, which is different from the residential one, which is no longer in place. We will allow progress payments. Often you may not have the balance sheet to carry all that equipment that you import. So we'll pay 70% on signing of the agreement, 20% on delivery of the equipment at the client's premises, and 10% when they sign it off. And we've discussed accredited suppliers. That's on the commercial banking or the business side. Last slide, please. On the homes and individuals, we can do solutions through Home Energy. If you work for them, they have a channel into us. MFC, if you work for them, and you can apply to work for them. Basically finance the entire installation up to 72 months. That's 6 years or a bit longer, depending on what you need. Typically, no deposit required, depending on your requirements. You can also, the client can also do it through their home loan, a net revolve, take a further loan and pay it off on that basis, or on a personal loan. So there's quite a few options to for our personal guys as well. I don't know if there's any questions.
Mark, I have a quick question for you. I just want to clarify. So Nedbank does not have a problem with the P4 accreditation. You guys accept it. It's not a problem for Nedbank.
It's not a problem. We have put it into our credit policy and guidelines and all those kinds of things. But as I said right at the beginning, to communicate evenly across 27,000 people is sometimes a bit of a challenge, and you may get the guy who hasn't read his policy or is not up to date on his emails. In that case, please just get them to contact myself, Mark Boshoff. I'm usually available during working hours or that. Drop me an email, and they can do it on that basis.
Mark, I see there's one question
Oh.
in the chat box that just says, do you examine the COC for correctness?
We don't. To be perfectly honest with you, we wouldn't know where to start. We're bankers, we're not electricians or electrical engineers, but it's a requirement that there is a COC document when the installation is done subsequently.
Thank you, Mark.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much. I'll drop off if you don't mind.
Yeah, maybe you could just, you mentioned people could reach out by email. Could you maybe just type your email in the chat, or Marisha can
I'll do that,
circulate
yes.
it? Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's also on the invitation, so.
Oh, perfect. Finally, or next up we're going to go through the new website, AREP Online. Yeah, looking forward to that, please.
All right, so
Marish.
let me open up that window. 2 seconds. Here we go. Here it is. All right, so we have been talking about this new website for ages, and we have hopefully gotten you all very excited because we are. And finally, it is ready. It is not just your standard website, it is an entire database in the back end, plus it happens to look very beautiful, we think. So the great thing is that you can now log in very easily to your own profile on AREP's website/database. You're just going to go to www.arep.online. So you will notice that the domain has changed. It's not AREP Energy anymore. It's arep.online, which is quite easy to remember. Then you are going to go to log in at the top right corner. If you are already a member, which you are probably since you are in the members meeting, you're going to log in. You're just going to fill in your email address, your password. You're going to click log in. If you do not know your password, just fill in your email address and click on forgot password. You're going to receive an email in your inbox, which is going to help you to reset your password, and then you will have access anew. So let me log in here to show you. Once you are logged in, you will access your dashboard. This is just a quick overview to show you how many tests have you been enrolled in, what's your membership number, and it has some quick links for you to do a couple of things. You can download your membership certificate, or you can go directly to your P4 test platform to take a test. So the one way to get to access your tests is to go to take a test over here, or you can go to the drop-down menu that says My Account, and then you can access different things, my invoices, my tests, my details. But let's go to My Tests, which is probably the most important part, I guess, for most of the members to make sure that their accreditation is up to date. In the My Test part, you can enroll for different tests. You're going to just click on Enroll Now, and then you're going to choose the one you want to do. You have to have passed level 1 before you will be able to access level 2. So that's why the level 2 is blocked out gray for me, because I haven't passed level 1. If you have passed level 1, you will be able to access level 2. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is once you are logged in, you can access our resource library. So if you go to our library, it has a lot of different documents, resources, helpful things that you might need as a practitioner. We have, for instance, if you need any documentation in terms of the hybrid test report, you can download the entire pack, which means it has a PDF and Excel version for you in a zip file, or you can download just the Excel version or just the PDF. We have the electrical installation regulations here, easy access for you, information about the P4 program, everything is there ready for you to access. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is the accredited solar PV directory. So we are putting the final touches on making this a little bit, let's call it prettier. Currently it's just a little sheet like this, but this is the directory where we list you if you are P4 level 2 accredited. So if you or your company are P4 level 2 accredited, or your company employs a level 2 practitioner, then your details get listed on this directory. And this is the directory we will be marketing actively to the public to say, if you want to look for accredited practitioners for your solar system, please use this directory to find people. So how do you get onto this directory? You simply complete your level 1 and your level 2, and then you will be added to this directory. Just a quick reminder on that as well. If you do complete your level 2, you are eligible to get a practitioner's card, which is a small little card you can use to show people that you are accredited. It's quite robust and handy, I think, to just keep in your wallet to show as your accreditation proof. All right, so please go ahead and have a look at the website. There's lots to see. We've put in as much information as we can. If you have any suggestions or if there's some information missing, please do let us know. The website is supposed to work for you. We happen to like it, but if it doesn't work for you, we would be happy to make some changes. All right, the next part I quickly wanted to tell you about was our members WhatsApp group. So most of you should have gotten an invitation, a very personal WhatsApp from either Anne or from Jocelyn to join our WhatsApp group. If you haven't gotten the invitation and you would like to be on the WhatsApp group to just be kept up to date with meeting reminders, here and there some interesting information, please join the WhatsApp group now. You can scan the code that's on the screen to join the group with your cell phone, or you can join it via a link which we will post in the chat box as well. You could just use the group link to join. The group, it's set to so that only admins can send messages, so it's not going to be a chat where people send messages all times, all hours of the night. It's only the admin AREP staff that can send messages, and we try to keep the communication as crucial as possible and not over communicate to you. We will also be we'll use the group to let you know when the report is published that we spoke about earlier, every time we have a new article, things like that. That's it from my side. Thank you, Jock.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marisha. I think everybody should get on the WhatsApp group and make sure you check out the new website. It's been a big effort to get those up and running. So appreciated, Marisha and team. Over to Carol now to give us some feedback on training and accreditation.
Thanks, Jock. Good morning, guys. I trust you can hear me. I'm just going to switch my camera off in the interest of saving a bit of bandwidth. I'm stuck in a container office, and sometimes the reception is not extremely good. So I'm just going to switch off my camera. So this was just me saying hi. There was a question just before I continue. So the idea is to quickly talk about accreditation and training in South Africa, but maybe not just in South Africa. Like, if you want to do something, where do you start? So this could relate to the P4 certificate. It could relate to electrical and engineering, but it might relate to something more than that. Just how do you approach education, or what do you look at, and just kind of where do you start? So before I start, I just want to answer Sitelo's question. He says we have a mining client that needs power for smelters and I don't have the balance sheet for them. Can I get the bank to convince them? So Sitelo, no, unfortunately not. So what you've got to do is you've actually got to build a business model. So if they haven't done their financial due diligence properly, there is no ways that you are going to be able to convince a financial institution to get them to buy into a business, because there's no information about the business. The only way that you can have a system financed is if you have done your due diligence. So you need to fit a logger at the mine, get a load profile, understand what the client does, have a look at their loads, do a whole analysis to understand what the cost per kilowatt is, or cost per kilowatt hour is that they're busy paying at the moment. Have a look at what your solution is going to be paying, and then you calculate the payback period based on the difference between those two values. So that is not something that the bank is going to help you with. By the time you get to the bank, you need to have all the numbers crunched. You basically put the project on the table. You say to the guys at the bank, guys, we've looked at this. It is a financeable deal, and then the bank will be interested based on the figures that you present to them, because there's no sense in financing a model that's not financially sustainable, and the bank needs to manage their risks. Loiso says, if one is a scientist or researcher in solar PV systems and not an engineer, what contributions can they make in this? Wow, Loiso, an industry body is extremely diverse, and there are so many different guys attending these meetings. So today we've got around 90 guys attending the meeting. And in this meeting, we don't just have guys who are interested in doing installations and interested in doing sales. We've got insurers, we've got financiers, we've got installers, we've got guys that are interested in importing products. So we've got a wide range of guys. And what a researcher can do is a researcher would be able to start looking at the market and addressing certain things, like Mariesha did with the statistics on fire. So researchers would try and get data from other distributors and extract interesting models to show what the rate is that solar is growing in South Africa and that kind of thing. So there are lots and lots of opportunities for guys, whether you're a scientist or a researcher. There's place for you in the solar sector, and there's definitely a place for you in AREP, but you've got to understand where your value lies and what kind of value you can add. The idea in getting involved with industry bodies is to be able to give a bit of information back and share information. Anyway, guys, that was just a quick feedback on the questions in the chat box. I hope that has added some value. Mariesha, I'm not really sure how to change slides. Can you flip over? So the first slide is just an introduction slide. That was me on the chair, but I had my camera on, so you guys would have seen what I looked like, pretty much like the guy on the chair. Okay, so accreditation. We've got a lot of electricians who are frustrated with the P4 certificate and the PV green card, because they feel, you know, why do we have to subscribe to the system, because it's not a formal qualification. And I think the last week I presented in George and Mossel Bay, and the thing that struck me as interesting is that the P4 certificate actually dates back to 2016. And back in those days, electricians weren't interested in solar. You had all these weird guys, and 2016 feels like it was yesterday. Well, at least for me, it feels like it was yesterday. It's 8 years ago, but so many things have changed. So in 2016, the guys who did solar installations in those days were still kind of weird. They were known as kind of bunny huggers or tree huggers, and they were the greenies in industry, and nobody knew exactly what they did or how it worked, and nobody was really too keen or too interested because actually solar didn't make sense. So there were a select group of guys, a very niche market, who were interested in solar, and those guys did installations, and very few of the guys who did installations up until 2016 were actually electricians. In those days, electricians were busy doing electrical stuff and not solar. So they were busy with their own businesses, construction, whatever they were busy with in servicing their customers, but solar wasn't one of it. So municipalities needed to know what they needed to do in order to kind of control the installation landscape. How do we manage standards? What are we looking at? How do we protect our grid, and how do we protect our infrastructure? And that is where the P4 certificate and the PV green card came in, because municipalities identified, it actually started with City of Cape Town. City of Cape Town identified those two quality assurance platforms as platforms that could reduce the municipality's risk from an installation point of view, because in one way or the other, it checked a couple of boxes by checking whether the guys actually knew anything about solar. So in those days, it was the only mechanism that the municipality had to have some kind of gauge that the guys who were busy doing solar at least had some knowledge on the subject matter. And that was it. So that's how it became prevalent in industry. And then after City of Cape Town did it, the municipalities followed, and the other municipalities throughout South Africa, they kind of followed the model that Cape Town started. And we still see that today, Cape Town kind of leading the way, and the other municipalities instituting whatever comes from Cape Town. Now, if we have guys from other municipalities like other large metros, like City Power, for example, they might not agree with my statements entirely, but as an outsider, that is how I view the progression in industry. So if we jump forward to 2024, things have changed because all the electricians are busy doing solar installation. Well, not all of them. Most electricians are doing solar installations. We still have a lot of electricians who aren't interested in doing solar because they say it's not their thing. Their clients don't require that kind of service, so they provide other things like, programmable logic controllers, PLCs, and that kind of thing, automation. There are lots of other areas where electricity still exists outside of solar. So at the moment, there is a formal qualification, a formal solar PV service technician qualification. The qualification is not going to replace the accreditation. So the P4 certificate is an informal qualification, but the P4 certificate has actually, the tests and exams have actually been written in more than 13 countries. A lot of those countries are based throughout Africa. So what we see the P4 certificate doing is moving into different parts of the world. And a formal qualification in South Africa is not going to take that away. What was interesting when Anne mentioned we have over 4,000 members at the moment, that is amazing, because when we started AREP, we kind of had to create the constitution in a way where we didn't need to have 50% of the members present during meetings in order to reach a quorum, because we said that the association needs to have at least 20,000 members. So when AREP was started, 20,000 members was was kind of the ballpark. That is where we were aiming towards. So it is super exciting to see that we're sitting at 4,000 members at the moment. As we move into, I see the next item is international accreditation. As we move into the rest of the world, we have already started talking, and when I say we, at AREP, we have already started talking about an office in the UK, for example. And if we have an office in the UK, the accreditation will be accepted in the UK based on the work that the organization does in that country. So even though it is a local accreditation at the moment, it's been written in 13 countries or more than 13 countries, but it doesn't mean that it's accredited everywhere. So we will continue working to get this accredited in other countries, but that is super exciting. Now, if you want to know where you need to start with training, you've actually got to start with where you want to end. And that's it's a different way of looking at education. You speak to someone, you say, what do you want to become? He says, I want to become an electrician. And yeah, sure, that to a certain extent is where you want to end, but would you like to issue COCs? Do you want to become a master electrician? Do you want to grow further and eventually become an engineer? So you've got to understand what your target is, because that target changes how you approach your training. So if you look at training per se, what you guys have to do is you have to spend. We are so used to clicking a button and getting a result. I want to start training and I want to start training tomorrow. So I'm prepared to take my credit card, I go online, I click, and I want to pay and start tomorrow. Guys, that is not the way you should be doing this. You should just breathe, take a minute. In fact, take a month, take 6 months. Take a year. It took me 2 years to know where, it took me 2 years of research just to decide where I was going to do my trade test. Yeah, I know Maria probably chuckles at the moment because I'm extremely slow when it comes to making decisions, but there's a reason for it, because I overthink stuff, and that's amazing. You have to overthink stuff again as well, because it gives you the opportunity to make sure that when you make the decision, you make the right decision. So how do we overthink education? Well, you've got to do your research. Have a look at what it is you want to become. And the education landscape is changing. Earlier, a couple of years ago, you had to go from school, you had to do well enough at school in order to be able to enroll into a college or into a university or into a technikon. And then from there, you would probably do your trade or whatever the case may be. But education as a mechanism is changing. So you could fast track your education to where you are if you understand what the qualification criteria is for the guys we are entering. I'll give you an example. A trade test. To write a trade test is at a level N4. So if you want to enroll in an electrical engineering qualification, your entry criteria is N4. So you could use your trade test and one theory test that you do at a college that's at a level N4 in order to qualify. You don't have to go N1, N2, N3, N4, and then do your electrical engineering. So you just spend some time doing research, understand how the education environment works. And that'll tell you what the best route is. Now, on the next slide, I have an example of how the education platform is changing. This and this is it's a place called New Gen Trade Schools. It has nothing to do with AREP. It has nothing to do with PQRS. It is not represented anywhere else. But I wanted to give you guys an idea of where the education environment is going and what is possible. So you could, by enrolling with these guys, and I'm not saying you should, I'm just giving you an idea of where the education platform is going. You enroll into a trade school at the age of 15. By the time you reach 19, you are a qualified tradesman. You've got, and not only do you have your 4 years worth of experience, you also have business skills that are internationally accredited. So we see a lot of things changing in the education platform, and you guys have the choice of hundreds of different avenues where you can do international courses from your laptop or from your phone. You don't even have to go to the university, to the international. You don't have to go to the university if it's based in a different country. You might have to go there to write your exam, but you can do all of your courses locally, and your qualification can be an international qualification. So I think what I want to say is take the time to understand where you want to grow to. Really take time to research the education platform and understand what is available. Don't just jump into the first available qualification just because it's here. You are lazy, you don't want to do the research, or you don't want to apply your mind to do the research. Guys, doing the research could save you years and years of study and education. So do the research, make sure you do it right, and that is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle, and it's going to end up giving you not only a local qualification, but it will give you something that is internationally accredited. And that is a question that I've had quite often over the last couple of months is which courses do you guys offer? Is it internationally accredited? So guys, thank you very much for your time. I see we have 4 minutes left on the meeting. I don't know whether there are any questions. Let's just quickly have a look. Mariusha, do we have any? No, we don't. That's amazing. Okay, Jock, I'm going to pass the ball back to you.
Thank you very much, Carol. I can speak to or reiterate what you're saying, because I was a youngster who didn't spend a lot of time looking into these things. I was, however, lucky that I fell into a qualification that was internationally recognized. But I do agree with you that putting the time in to understand these things is seriously important. So yeah, definitely want to underline what you said. But thank you, Carol. There was a great insights from you. I mean, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join today, for all the work that Marisha, Carol, and Anne do. This is a great organization that's doing fantastic things for the industry. I think the changes you talked about since 2016, Carol, are quite marked, and as you said, I think it's testament to the work that you've done, that the likes of the big banks and so forth have moved as far as they have in providing finance to our sector, which is growing so quickly at the moment. It really owes a testament to the work that was done in those early days when it was a bit of the Wild West, as we say. Anyway, so thank you all. I have nothing more to add. I want to wish Anne happy birthday. I hope she enjoys the rest of her birthday, and yeah, see you next month.
Thanks, Jock. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Have
Appreciate
a
it.
blessed Easter weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.